Let's review the steps to the item review process. The first step is to actually take the test online. By taking the test, we will be able to determine if examinees are given sufficient time to complete the tests as they are constructed and by using the materials they are allowed to use. It's important that you follow the same directions that the actual examinees follow, and try to treat each test event as though you were actually taking the test to receive your certification. When you know the correct answer, choose that correct answer. This will help us determine if the correct answer is listed for each item, as well as whether certain items have more than one possible correct answer. When you do not know the correct answer or are unsure of the answer, do what you would do in an actual testing situation. Make your best guess based on the information set in front of you. All of the information we receive from the collective responses from the item reviewers help us determine if modifications should be made to the items to ensure they are valid and reliable. Once you have completed the test online, you will be provided with the items, a list of your option choices, the answer key, as well as a comments form. We will send you the items in the order of the content that is being measured for that program. As a result, you may find that some items are very similar. The purpose for sending the items to you in this way is so that you can review a set of items for a specific area at a time. This allows you to determine if two items can be used to help answer each other. In cases such as this, we would like you to make a comment regarding that on the comments form, as we would not want those two items to appear on the same examination. This also allows you to reference the same set of reference materials for a set of items. Please take time to review each item. Consider how you responded to the item and why you responded the way you did. For items you answered correctly, review the item again and consider the distractors that are provided. Are the distractors clear and common mistakes or misconceptions? Is the item worded in a way that is consistent with how terms are used in the industry? Is there evidence of cultural bias or slang in the item as a whole? For items you answered incorrectly, consider why a distractor distracted your attention away from the correct answer. Should the option be revised because it's unclear, or because it could possibly be a correct answer? Or should the option remain the same because the distractor tests a common misconception? Remember that distractors should not trick examinees into choosing them, which often occurs when the wording in an option is not clear, but rather distractors are used to determine if an examinee has adequate content knowledge. Share your comments and revisions for the items in the comments form that is provided. By having you take the test, we receive data that helps us analyze the test items. Since the tests are timed, if our review committee cannot finish the test within the defined time limit, that will tell us if we need to lengthen the time for taking the test. Also, since there are several forms of similar exams, we would like to be sure that different groups of examinees are able to finish the test in approximately the same amount of time. Your test times help us pilot that. After you take the test, we will have data for each item, which will tell us if the items are reliable, meaning we will receive similar results from many examinees. The statistics will tell us if items have a clear key. If there is not a clear key, there will be similar numbers of people picking each of the options in the item. The item statistics will tell us if we have two correct answers, or if an option looks more like a key than a key itself. After you complete the test and receive the exam items for your review, you will see the reference that is used to support the item as well as the content that is being measured. As a content expert, you are able to state whether the item is testing that content we intend to measure or if it's testing a different content area. Your suggested revisions for poorly written items will ensure the item's stems and options are phrased in a way individuals within your industry will understand. While making these revisions, we must strive not to use slang or cultural phrases, which is another aspect you will look for in your review. As you review each item, please consider these questions. Did I answer the item correctly? If you felt that you really had the correct answer and are surprised to see a different key, it may be likely that we have an incorrect key marked, or it may be that we have two correct answers. It is better for us to find this out before the item is placed into an exam. Did I find the answer in the standard? An item may have a correct key, but there is no support for it in the standard we want to test. If an item is supported by a standard other than what we wish to measure, then the item is not valid for that specific program. Was I distracted by the incorrect answers? Knowing why you were distracted by the other options is important. Were you tricked into choosing another option because of one word in that option? Did you initially want to choose the key but something tricky distracted you into another option? We do not want to trick those who are knowledgeable into picking another option. Instead, we need the individual items to help us identify who should be certified and who should not. At this time, we seek from you your suggested revisions to the stems and the options. We depend on your responses to identify miskeyed items. Oftentimes, only content experts are able to identify tricks that may have been included within the items, or when certain items are inappropriate. More importantly, we rely on you to identify slang or inappropriate language used in the items. If an item is confusing to you or you need to reread it several times to determine what it is asking, then think about how the item could be rewritten to read better. Supply the wording that makes the most sense for you. If you do not like one of the options, you should supply a new one. Be sure the new options are based on the references that support the program. If you do not agree with the key, explain why you do not believe the key is defensible and provide a suggested key that can be defended as a correct answer. Sometimes trick questions are written without trying. If an item is tricky because one word makes a distractor wrong, or the way it is written is not clear, provide suggestions to make the wording more clear. It is also tempting when writing items to place inside jokes, made-up options, or culturally sensitive pieces of information into the items. Keep in mind that these exams are taken internationally, and what may seem like harmless fun in an item for the U.S. audience is quite insensitive for someone in another country. Slang is never appropriate for test items. Vocabulary should be common to the references that are being used to support the items. Oftentimes, the use of slang within individual items makes the item biased against individuals in other countries. Try to use vocabulary and language that is based on the reference itself or terms that are used within the industry. When you document your comments, please be very specific. Your comments will be used to determine what needs to be revised in an item if you do not provide actual revisions. Instead of comments like, "This item is terrible," please provide specific details regarding the stem or options and actual rewrites when possible. When providing rewrites to any part of the item, be sure the rewrite follows the same style as the rest of the item. As an example, if the other options begin with a verb, so should your rewritten option. When you provide a rewrite or suggest that one be done, provide the reasoning for the change. When it comes time to consolidate everyone's feedback, this is valuable information to have when revisions are made to the item and when we discuss the revisions that were made. Please be sure to follow any deadlines that have been provided in the materials you received from RAB QSA. Thank you for your time and your valuable input into the RAB QSA item development process.